afternoon. My name is Mr. Vasquez. Today we're going to be conducting a class over identifying terrain features on a map. Alright, so we're going to hit up the task, conditions, and standards for today. The task for today, again, successfully identify terrain features on a map. The conditions. You are a member of a team or squad in a field environment and have been directed to identify the terrain features on a map. You have been given a 1 to 50,000 scale military map. Heading into the standards. So terrain standard. Identify the 5 major, 3 minor, and 2 supplementary terrain features on a military map. Touching on some safety and environmental considerations, okay? This class, again, is unclassified. There is a foreign disclosure. It's going to be FD3. This training product has been reviewed by developers in coordination with the G2 here at Fort Benning. All that means it's been run by the foreign disclosed officer, okay? Along with that, this training product cannot be used to instruct international military students, so only U.S. military. Again, before we start, we're just going to hit up a quick risk assessment. Today's risk assessment level is going to be low. We're outside, all we're doing is giving a class. Nothing crazy. That being said, wildlife, alright? There might be some wildlife out here. We're again outside. So just take that in consideration. Leave them alone. Relocate if you need to. It is hot outside. Hydrate. Drink water. Find shade if you need it. And finally, trip hazards. All right, be cognizant of where you're stepping. Inclines, declines, little potholes, anything like that. Just be aware of your surroundings. Do not trip. Do not get hurt. If you do, just call out to somebody. All right. Again, hitting again. This class is unclassified. It is the responsibility of all DoD personnel to protect and preserve the environment. All right. Clean up after yourselves. That's all that means. Don't be destroying trees or anything like that because you're bored. So immediately following this training, you'll be evaluated on either a go or no-go scale. To receive an overall go, right, you met the standard, means to get a go in every single category. In order to start identifying terrain features on a military map, you must understand what these features look like, where they're usually found, okay? This class will cover exactly what these features look like and by themselves as well as on the map itself. All right, so we'll be looking at both today. So now I will demonstrate at full speed on what this looks like. And then afterwards, we'll go into more information a little step by step, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do it on my little handout, the 1 to 50,000 scale map, okay? Bringing it back in. So I demonstrated what it looks like on the actual handout itself. Okay, so before I give that to you, before we start practicing, we're just going to dive into a little bit deeper information. All right. So starting off the majors. All right. So 5 major: hill, valley, saddle, ridge, and depression. So when we talk about a hill, we're looking at the area, high ground that slopes in all directions. Right. Top of the hill, all directions are pointing down. So valley. Valley, the contour lines forming the valley are either a U or a V shaped. Usually has water running through it. or low between two areas of higher ground. So we can say that higher ground could be two hills. In between two hills is that saddle. Looks just like a horse's saddle. A little dip. Moving on to the ridge. Sloping line of high ground. Alright, just like a roller coaster in a straight line of high ground, low ground, high ground, low ground. That's what a ridge looks like. And finally, depression. A low point in ground or a sinkhole. Alright, think about it like a hole in the wall. Alright, just sunk in there. Moving on to our three minor. Three minors are going to be the draw, spur, cliff. When we talk about a draw, a stream course that's less developed than the valley. Alright, so a little bit shorter, a little bit condensed than an actual valley. Moving on to our spur, a short sloping line of high ground. So again, just like our ridge, just a little bit condensed, not as much. And finally our cliff, vertical or near vertical drop off. Everyone knows what a cliff is. Step off it, go down. Moving on to our supplementary, or two supplementary, cut and fill. Basically the same things. However, a cut is a man-made feature cutting through raised ground. Our fill, man-made feature cutting through low ground. So both man-made, just the difference is high and low. Think about it on railroad tracks. The very top of the track, right? The actual steel, where that's cutting through, that's the raised ground. It's going to be your cut. On the sides of it, the little mounds, it's going to be your fill. Both man-made. All right. So I'm going to give you about 10 minutes. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to go ahead and get some hands-on training. Alright? Get some hands-on training. Fill out the same little handout I did, the 1 in 50,000. Okay? Alright, we're back. Alright, so one correction or a helpful tip that I would like to give is when we're talking about that valley, okay? Valley does not necessarily need to have water running through it. Think about the summers, right? It's hot. All water is evaporated, but it's still going to be a valley. So don't just look for water and say that's just a valley, okay? So before we're moving in our assessment, I'm just going to quickly check that you have all the proper PPE on, okay? All right, everything looks good. So before we start, I'm going to read the task conditions and standard one more time. That way we are crystal clear before we start, all right? So task, successfully identify terrain features on a military map. The conditions, you are a member of a squad or team in a field environment and have been directed to identify the terrain features on a map. You have been given a 1 in 50,000 scale military map as well. The standard, training to standard. You're going to identify the 5 major, 3 minor, 2 supplementary terrain features on the military map. While you're doing that, I'm also going to record you on my 5164 Romeo. All it is my grading sheet, right? That go or no go. Good to go. All right, you are now trained on this task, so there's no retraining necessary. I did it. I quickly account for all my equipment, make sure I have everything, pens, papers, board, markers, everything like that, handouts, all good. All right, so we're gonna quickly conduct an AAR. What was the task for today? All right, I said it multiple times. I'll help you out. Task for today, identify terrain features on the military map. Those majors, minors, and supplementaries. What are some sustainments that you might have had? Some improvements. All right. So quickly touching back on that risk assessment I said in the beginning, the risk assessment level today was going to be low, right? We're outside. I believe, and it seems to be that all our safety measure controls were effective, right? No one got hurt because they tripped or fell. No one passed out because they were dehydrated. No one got interfered with wildlife. Sounds good to me. So this time we're just going to actually close out our training. Make sure it is back to its original state. Take any trash with you that you brought out here. Clean up after yourselves. All right, perfect. Sergeant Guerrero, all soldiers have been trained to standard. There is no retraining necessary. You stop it.
Stop it now?
Yeah. How long was that?